Sweeties, how are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. I hope you all are doing great. And this is just me wanting to check in on everybody to make sure you all are okay. And I am sending all my love to you. And I thank you all so much for the support. Let's get into this video. So I don't know how I came across this video. It was a brother that shared the video. And this really got me very teary because I don't know how Black people have really been the one going through all this. They have been screaming it, they have been shouting it, and I mean, we thought it was, or maybe some of us thought it was a joke, not until we started realizing that these were not jokes. They are sharing, they are telling their life experiences, they are sharing their life experiences with us. And then while they were sharing their experiences, they were called savages, they were called names, because they were hiding what they were doing to Black people. So this boiled down to, this is a firefighter who actually shared this story with a Black man, how he let Black people burn while he is on duty. That whenever he is on duty and he's being called to save life, he doesn't save them, he let them burn. That the one that got him was the eye contact he made with a child. He let, that he was supposed to save, and he let the child burn. And this really got me thinking. This really got me teary because, it takes only an evil person. Someone that, I don't know how to classify the evil because, this is extremely evil. To sit back and watch somebody burn just because you don't like them. They didn't do anything to you, but you have this internalized hatred over them, so you let them burn. I am just gonna roll this clip because my emotions are running. I am rolling this clip. We'll come back to talk about it. So let's get into it.
Okay, quick story that has me literally shaking right now. So for context, I drive trucks and I stop at this Denny's to grab a coffee because I'm addicted to caffeine. I went in there to get my coffee to go and then I walked to the bathroom, but as I'm walking to the bathroom, it's this old guy sitting to the left with about 12 people that's celebrating his 89th birthday. I got a call from my dispatcher and he was like, yo, you can chill, no rush, they're not ready for the freight, so you can relax a little bit. Sat down, ordered some food, so now I'm sitting like across from the guy that's celebrating his birthday. Time goes by, I'm down there at the end of my meal and everybody that basically came to celebrate with him had left, so now it's just him and his wife. So as I get up to go wash my hands, I see him and I give him a smile. I'm like, happy birthday, young man, 89. That's a lot of memory to have. Here's the thing, I don't even know why I said that. He could have had Alzheimer's. I'm not even sure what I meant by that. But that's what I said. And he said, well, thank you, young man. And he smiled and he kind of just stared at me and I just walked back there and washed my fucking hands. So I come back and his wife is gone. She's talking to some other lady that goes to the same church they do. And he sees me, he says, come here, come here, come here. And I said, yes. And he said, there are way too many things that I wish I could forget. And I said, yeah, man, you make it to damn near 100 years old. I'm pretty sure you got a handful of regrets. And he looked at me with the most serious look ever and said, you have no idea. Well, now I'm curious. Do tell. He said, you know, I used to be a firefighter through the 60s and 70s. I said, that's what's up. That's a very commendable job. And he said, yeah, it should be. He said the 60s and 70s was a different time in every way possible. You know that, right? And I'm just like, yeah, no shit. He said back in those times, I was a way different man, and who knew that we'd get to the point where we are in society today and I'd be feeling the way I'm feeling about the decisions that I made back in those times. So I'm like, man, if you won't fucking tell me, bro. So right before he took a very long pause, he looked at me and said, back in those times, it was very common for firefighters that looked like me to leave people that looked like you in burning houses and buildings and horrible situations just to say they couldn't get to us. He said more times than he'd like to admit, he would hear screaming Black people and children in burning buildings and houses and apartments and stores and cars, and he would literally just pretend he didn't hear it. He said his last time doing it was when he made eye contact with the baby that he deliberately went into a building to save and deliberately didn't. And he said that was the last time he did it, and he quit that year. He said the nightmare still hasn't stopped. He still hasn't forgiven himself, and therapy helps, but it's still a living nightmare to have those memories. And I guess that shit just shocked me so much because when it came to firefighters, I never thought of them like that. Like when it came to like police officers, lawyers, and judges, and everybody else, we knew they didn't give a fuck. Especially police officers, we knew they didn't give a fuck about us. But I don't know why that didn't click to me that, no, it was everybody that hated us. Everybody. Everybody had a hand in deliberately making our lives worse. When I calmed down from being mad enough to want to pull the plug on his ass, I thought about it. And I was like, of course they did this. Of course they did this shit. Duh. Like, why was I even shocked? Like, of course. But it is something that I cannot think about for too long, because that visual of you fake going to save somebody and not saving them because of the color of their skin and the entire 911 understanding because, oh yeah, you couldn't get Jamal. Oh well, just another one gone. Like that shit, I don't know. He said back in those times I was a way different man, and who knew that we'd get to the point where we are.
Oddly enough, I have a friend. He's like the same age, damn near 90. Watch that video for context. And we were talking, his video was talking about how firemen said that they didn't used to come save black people. Like they let them burn up and say they couldn't get to them when they could see them and get to them, but they just didn't. But not as bad. I got a buddy, Ron, I golf with. He's older, you know, like in his 80s too. And we work together. And from our interactions at work, he basically one day, you know, like we go to lunch, this, that, and other, and he was like, man, I'm sorry. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he was like, if this was 30 years ago, I wouldn't even speak to you. I wouldn't even acknowledge you. Like you were nothing to me, this, that, and other. And he was like, basically I went off of what my friends and my parents and, you know, like who's in my community said. I never got to know any of y'all. You know, I was just like, fuck them. They're horrible people, this, that, and other. And he was like, over his son had a black friend and, you know, he was pissed off. And the black friend was at an event that the son had, and he said, you know what, I'm going to talk to this guy and see why my son likes him. And he ended up liking the dude. And then he said, when, you know, as years went by, he was like, most of the black people I meet, I like them. You know, like, they're good people. They cool. This, that, and other. He was like, and when you came in, we were working at Walmart. I was the manager, service manager there. And he was like, when you came in, I'm like, shit, you know, he ain't gonna know what he doing and all this shit. And he was like, you ran the company better than the last two managers that was before you. And he was like, I'm just apologizing because, like I said, if this was years ago, I wouldn't have said nothing to you. Like, I had a company and I wouldn't hire you guys, you know, like, and then we sit around and act like you got a fair shot when we know on a different playing field, though. Like, we're not going to give you the positions that you qualify for that pay more. It's that another. No, we want you working in the low end and all that. And I'm like, man, that has nothing to do with you. And to be totally honest, I feel what he's saying. I get what the guy in the video was saying. And yes, that's right. But some people do change. That's all I'm saying. Some people do change. I'm from Detroit. I grew up Mac Bewick, 7 Mile, you know, like Southwest Detroit. You know, 20 years ago, I robbed you, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, I'm a different person now. So I don't always look at it as they're horrible because of what they did in the past. It's like if you still that way now, or you didn't grow, you didn't learn anything from those experiences, then I look at you as a horrible individual. But yeah, I did a lot of shit in my past that I wish I didn't do. So that's my take on it. Everybody gonna have their own take on it. But yeah, like I'll tell you another situation. When I was in contractor school, my instructor told me pit bulls were horrible creatures because there was a couple guys that had pits. They were white. You know, he was like, you should kill them animals, get rid of them. They're vicious. And I was like, nah, it pretty much comes down to the dog. They have personalities just like us. Some of them are more docile. Some of them are more aggressive. It just depends on the dog you have. And he like, nope, when you're inherently known for something, that's pretty much. I was like, oh, so we shouldn't trust you because you inherently known and enslave people and fucking have Jim Crow and this, that, and other. No, that's different. I was like, how? That ideology is exactly what you said. So what is it? Because that's an animal and we're humans, then that goes out the window. And he was like, came back a couple days later, was like, I see what you were saying. I tried to fight it on so many different levels, but I see what you're saying now, this, that, and other. I'm like, yeah, you can't hold the action of these to all. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how it is. And then the environments most pits come up in is taught to fight and this, that, and other. That's like most beagles can hunt because they were bred to hunt. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were taught to hunt. Most of them. So, yeah, like, that's just my take on it. Like, man, yes, some people are horrible and gonna stay horrible, but some people actually come from environments that's toxic and they grow out of that shit. Just saying.
Okay, quick story that has me literally shaking right now. So for context, I drive trucks. And
okay, I want you to go watch his story and then come back, because I have a unique perspective on this. And I apologize to my close friends and family who lived through this with me, but my dad passed of dementia. And for those of you who don't know, what happens is, as they deteriorate, they get confused and they will leave the house, they'll wander off, and then you have to go chasing after them. And if you have to work, it's an impossible thing, because even if you get a home health aide, you know, a woman may come by to look after him, but if he wants to leave, she can't physically stop him from leaving. He'll leave the house. She'll call me in a panic. And at the time I was working in Manhattan, and you know, it was an hour and 40 minutes away. I had to ride the train and the path, the train, all of this stuff. So by the time that I would get home, he has like a 2-hour head start, and we'd have to go looking for him. It was terrible. So we had to put him into a place where he could get better care. And it was other Alzheimer's and dementia patients in that house. And I say all of that to say this: you discover how deep that racism rabbit hole goes when you go to a dementia ward and you see people who cannot remember their names, they don't know who their spouse is, they don't know who their children are, but they never forget that they hate black people. That's how deep that racism runs. So for him to be surprised by that, I get it. Unless you have seen that kind of thing that I've seen firsthand, you don't realize that it is not just something that people choose to do. It's who they are. And it's more foundational to them than their last name. They'll forget their last name, but they never forget that they're racist.
it was very common for firefighters that looked like me to leave people.
Hey y'all, go back and watch his video. Basically, he came across an 89-year-old palm-colored dude at a Denny's who was a firefighter in the 60s and 70s, and he admitted that he let black people die in the fires. His video reminded me of something that I've been wanting to tell y'all about somebody in my family. So my grandfather was a firefighter from 1945 to 1978. He actually integrated the fire station at the LA International Airport. Had no idea until much later in my life when I went into the African American Firefighter Museum and seen his big old giant picture of him on the first floor of this museum. And I'm like, what the hell? So long story short, my aunt, who is my grandparents' oldest child, told me stories of him being hazed by the palm-colored firefighters and how they treated him. So it's just a reminder to me. That story reminded me of my story and the fact that a lot of us demonize police and justify, we got reasons for that, but we tend to, oh, firefighters are great people. They be doing some wild shit too, okay? Including let black people die in fires and haze black firefighters. There was a lot of really bad stories that I heard. I wish I had the chance to talk to my grandfather a little bit more about that, but we really didn't, share those kind of stories. But just wanted to share that little tidbit of history that here in Los Angeles, they was doing that stuff to the firefighters. And so, were they also doing the same thing in Watts or Compton or, to the folks that were in fires? I don't know.
look like me to leave people that look like you in burning houses and buildings.
I normally don't do these kind of videos, and I'm going to add that young man video to this because this is why racism will always be real. This is why you cannot forget. Long story short, that man, it was his 89th birthday, and he remembered the horrific bitch-ass shit he did in the name of racism. We can't forget. Because I'm pretty sure he didn't get his epiphany until later on in life. So he done raised children with that bitch-ass mentality. He done raised grandchildren with it. They can't forget what the hell he did. So y'all bet not. You heard me? Forget.
Okay, quick story that has me literally shaking right now. So for context, I drive trucks.
Shamar, I duetted your TikTok earlier, and I still cannot get my mind off of it either. What this man shared with you. First, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for making that TikTok video, and I hope that everybody shares it far and wide. But I'm sitting here wondering, because of what I do for a living, I'm familiar with litigation and all those sorts of things. Here's what I am wondering. What is possible? Is it possible to get this gentleman's name, whether you return back to that restaurant? I think you said that there was somebody that you shared a common acquaintance with through church. Maybe they know his name. And is he willing to continue having dialogue with you so that he will share what city, what municipality it was that he served as a firefighter for? Okay. And I'm also wondering, once you have that information, if you or we could take that information to the prosecutor's office of that city. Now, I'm not personally, I don't feel that prosecuting this man is that we're going to get anything good that comes from it, because it is obvious that the mental and the spiritual and the emotional hell that he's living in is worse than putting him in a physical prison. Okay. However, I wonder if he's willing to cooperate so that the families of these victims can be contacted. It'll be the most horrifying news for them to hear. However, ultimately, can we provide enough information so these families can file a lawsuit and sue this municipality so that financially this can be made a little bit right in the face of something so incredibly evil and wrong? That's what I'm wondering. And I'm willing to help. I'm sure everyone else is willing to help. These families get to know, and they get to be compensated. And this gets to be highlighted. And for everyone else, this is why we need to be involved with local elections, public school elections. We cannot allow Republicans to continue to attempt to whitewash our racial history. We cannot. We cannot. I hope your video goes viral. I really, really do.
Okay, quick story that has me literally shaking right now.
Go watch his video. I really hope y'all watch his video before y'all watch mine, just so y'all can understand what I'm about to say, because what I'm about to say is going to make a lot of people mad, okay? It's going to ruffle a lot of feathers. But this is why I don't mess with the saltines. I mean, I don't mess with them at all. I don't go out of my way to be courteous, polite when I see them. I don't do none of that, because I haven't forgotten. And it's personal for me, because what my ancestors went through definitely is passed down, was passed down to me and many other black people. And that's why I don't understand why some black people, teach his own, but y'all be wedding and bedding and laying with them. And it's just like their great grandma or grandpa got to live a full, happy life, and they could have had a hand in the demise to your ancestors, and y'all just, you cool with that? I know some of y'all ancestors are disgusted. I know y'all don't get watched over.
It's common for firefighters that look like me to leave people that look like you.
So for every white person that tells me it is not your job to deal with the generational trauma of lack of accountability, your generational trauma is the inability to be accountable for your actions. You think that's not a thing. I want you to realize that this is the trauma that your grandparents continue to put on us because they're looking for some sort of saving before they die. Yeah, baby. Yeah. I want you to sit back with the fact that until you take accountability, ain't nobody gonna fuck with y'all a long way. The funny part is y'all are numb because your parents told you to be numb because of absolute bullshit. Black people are numb because we have been raised to ignore our own screams.
Okay, quick story that has me literally shaking right now. So for context, I drive trucks.
Go watch this video. It's very relevant to what's happening now. I posted a video up last night of one of the Israel big dogs for their military, and she literally said that the young black people were their biggest issue. So what do you think they've been doing since the 60s and 70s to the young black people? Redline, drugs, STDs. I mean, syphilis. God damn, that was fucking terrible. And then breaking up of the black family. The black family was so fucking tight and interconnected that y'all were a threat. Your families were. Free Palestine.
Okay, quick story that has me literally shaking right now. So for context, I drive trucks, and
go back and watch that video for some context if you've got a strong stomach, but you should watch it anyway for educational purposes. Because this does happen. And when we say anything about it, we're making it up. I think of two off the top of my head. Well known. And I'll be honest with you, it's happened many times before, but I've given these two because they're well known. Sure, it was the early 80s. And if I'm wrong, it was the late 70s, but it was the early 80s, if my recollection serves me right. Deptford. Party. Young kids. Between the ages of, anywhere between, I don't know, maybe 14 and, I don't know, maybe 21 at the most. They were young. They were all sort of mainly around the ages of 15 and 16. If memory serves. And somehow a fire broke out. No investigation was really done. We know how the fire could have started. And they let those kids, he let them. A lot of people never got over that. A lot of parents of my generation, they never recovered from that. A lot of them lost friends and family members and their kids. And they just buried it all under the sand and under the ground and just meh. And we protested and we marched and we screamed for answers. Never really got anything cast iron or worth any effort. Grenfell. I mean, we must remember that. It was so recent. They did the same thing. They told those people to stay in their houses. They told those people to stay in their house. They told those people to stay in their houses, in their flats. These are angry tears. I'm so angry that I'm even having this conversation. But it happens everywhere, and it happens too fucking much. And it's happened over and over and over. And we're always making a big thing out of nothing. When they're our kids, our parents, our uncles, our aunties, our cousins, our friends, our people. This happens too. And I remember, growing feel like it was yesterday, I very rarely speak about it. The trauma. Because I watched, and I wasn't there. I can't even imagine what the survivors are going through. Because watching this happen in real time when it was happening on the and all of watching that from my house was just more than enough for me. But yeah, this happens, and it happens even now. It probably happened yesterday. It's happening in Gaza. It's happening in the Congo. It is happening now, to this very second, and to the very moment I press stop and beyond. Have the best night.
The conversation ended with him staring at me, making that last statement, and me staring back at him, telling him, I gotta finish my route. I hope you enjoy the rest of your birthday. The last thing he said is, I hate myself for it. And I said, my boss is calling. I hope you enjoy the rest of your birthday. I've had so many people hit me up in my DMs to tell me that that shit is still going on. So many 911 workers to tell me, so many nurses, so many cops, so many people tell me that that shit is still going on. And it's weird because it's like, you ever find out some information you already knew the answer to? It's like, yeah, I know that, but to hear it out loud from people that know it for sure is way different. I don't know why he chose to tell me, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only black person that he stopped and told this shit to. I just don't understand how somebody can be so evil and just one day not be. How a society can give birth to and breed so many heartless, soulless people for them to just wake up one day and be like, maybe we made a mistake. And this is just one of the few of them that feel like they actually made a mistake. A lot of them feel like it was nothing wrong with what they were doing and wish everything was still the fucking same. Here's the thing. This incident happened over 3 months ago. I recorded that video 3 months ago. It's been in my draft that long. I didn't want to fucking post it, but for whatever reason, I could not delete the shit. So the other day when I was going through all my drafts and I was looking and I was going through and trying to figure out what to post, I kept seeing that shit, and I swear to God, something said, post it now. Post it now. Because I usually just delete them after a couple days if I don't post them. But something said, post it now. Right fucking now. And I did. And I really wish he didn't tell me this shit, because me being cursed with the burden of that information did nothing but fuel my imagination, and now I can't get the images out of my fucking head. But also, we have images of racist white firefighters spraying black people with the fire hose on the hardest pressure, ripping our fucking skin off. And this is shit that we can Google. We can look that up on YouTube. Then why is it so hard to hear that they let us burn? Why does that feel like a different level of evil? Why is that still so surprising? Like, but then again, it's not. But yeah.
So this is all I got from this video, and it's quite sad. I am so emotional. Why? I don't know how to explain this, but it takes an evil person, you know? It's only an evil person that can see where someone is burning, and you were called to save their lives, and you sit back and watch them burn. You can imagine how evil you are. I mean, this shows the extreme some people can actually go to make sure that some people are hurting. Why he was telling this story, he said that some of them, he just like, while the wait time, while they burn, like, die off. But the one that changed him was the eye contact he had with a child. You can imagine, no matter how horrible someone is, I don't know, but how do people sit and watch people burn? How do people sit and watch people burn? Even if I will never let my enemy burn, let alone someone that I do not know. Someone that I was called to come and save. And because of who I am, or the indoctrination, or the things you have heard, or the things like, the racism that has embedded in you, you sit out there and watch the person die. I don't know, man. This one really hits differently. It hits on another level. And then that boils down to who is it that really like Black people? Because like all the things that I have been saying, from police department, you all knew police was from slave department, that we're catching slaves. I remember that I once showed you all a video where a cop said that we don't catch people that look like me. I mean, we only like unalive Black people. I mean, this was caught on tape. Not like, I am so disgusted. I mean, I am so sorry that my own people have to go through this on a daily basis. And you can imagine how many people that already died from this. I remember a story a brother told here on TikTok, that he called the cops because something was happening in his neighborhood. And he was very scared. Maybe somebody might, die and all that. So he decided to call the cops. But because it was a Black person that called the cops did not respond to it, to the call till I think the next day. And they called him back and they were like, you lodged a complaint over something. Do you still need us? I mean, that really shows a whole lot. Man, I feel really so sad for my own people because they are the ones facing this firsthand. And they have been telling us, but because the media already, why didn't we know about this before now? Why didn't we know about this before now? I don't know if we would have done something better or done something differently, but this awareness would have started before now. And I am sending all my love to every one of you out there. I know you all have been going through it. I mean, from the beginning till this very moment. And still, you all come out on the internet. And with everything you all are going through, you still come out strong and brave to fight for other people. And then they sit back and say, my own people are savages. Who are the real savages right now? I mean, I'm so sorry, guys, but I mean, I really had to let it out. See you all in my next video. Bye for now.